A little bit about yourself, who you are, what your background is, where you come from, that sort of thing.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name's Halima Adam. I'm a Ugandan. I'm a nurse with 10 years experience in emergency, work in emergency, but not like qualified emergency care, but nursing officer with experience. Though in emergency, where I'm like, so I have experience, there's I've worked, and I've done few courses, like 2 weeks, 1 week on emergency care. And I have the interest of working there. That's why like I've been there for long. So I work in Mubende Regional Referral Hospital. It is out of the city, out of the city, in a rural area. It's located in Mubende town, like 120 kilometers from Kampala. So one of the regional referral hospitals in Uganda. I head the emergency unit, which I've done for the last 4 years. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your mHealth experience, how you ended up working in mHealth and the sort of apps that you've worked with?
mHealth, as I talked earlier in my discussion, in our system, in Uganda, really they've not embraced this much because of the financial constraints and working in a resource constrained area in terms of human and finance. So on mHealth, usually we use the cell phones, for communication and consultation. Because like where I work, you find like more nurses on the unit. Of recently now we have interns, but we don't have enough doctors and consultants. So in terms of communication, sometimes we call them in case we get like serious cases. Mostly we get injuries and cases like poisoning. So sometimes in that case of management, we have to call them for consultation. Another way of communication we use like the cell phones for. Sometimes like find you alone in the unit, so you need like oxygen, because like in my working area we have like it's not big, it has like 15 beds, so we gazetted the area where we manage most of the emergencies. So sometimes you find all the line for oxygens occupied, yet you have another emergency coming in. Like of recent, one of my I was in the meeting, the doctor just called me, Halima, the patient is what? Dying. So I just have to get out of the meeting. So when I came out, first call the support staffs to help me lift one of the oxygen to the bedside of this patient. And within like 10 minutes, work was done. Patient's life was saved. Patient who was saturating like at 35, within 2 hours was at 98, and that patient survived. So I can say we use mHealth in that area. What else I use, like the for data collection, this is an app by WHO to monitor, but it's a project whereby we run like for 6 months to collect data for patients, mostly in my area, road traffic accident, asthma, pneumonia in children, and diarrhea in children, and PPH. But PPH, because I don't work much in obs and gyn, so those ones I don't track them much. But I take their information right from the first time they've entered in emergency, but I don't do it like all the time. I usually do it after work, because it's a busy area. You can't have the tablet all the time, checking. So I enter there. It has a project number. It has a hospital number, age, complaints like clinical complaints, date of arrival, time of arrival, date of onset of the disease, time of onset, and mode of arrival. Was it walking, border? These are the bikes we use. Then was it an ambulance? Was it a police? So after that we come down. Was the patient triaged? If yes, you indicate. If no, you indicate. Then you come down and say who saw the patient, the treatment. Was there oxygen given if the patient needed oxygen, antibiotics given if the patient needed antibiotics, analgesics, was the patient intubated, if it was an asthma case, was there nebulization? Then you come down among the healthcare workers who saw the patient, like was it a nurse, doctor? Then you come down like who was consulted in case of any consultation. Was there any physician? In case of trauma, an orthopedic surgeon or surgeon. Then within that time of 24, 48 hours, was the patient admitted? If not admitted, how many hours did the patient stay in EU? Did the patient die in EU? So you follow until the time of what? Disposition. So in doing that, I realized, because in our hospital, resource constraint, you don't have like the computerized electronic system of entering patients' data. We use papers. So I realized there was incomplete data collection. People are not doing vitals. So I went back and sat with my team and said, this is not going right. We need to improve on ABC. And I saw there was some improvement. And even April helped me as the head of the unit to see some of the challenges which I used not to check before, like because of like our workload, patient data is not to check. But because of the one who enters that data, I realized there was that challenge. I communicate, and there is just a change. Two, something else which is new, but that's also still project by implementing partners. That is IDI, Infectious Disease Institute. That is, it collects data. They have a records person who collects data for children admitted in pediatric ward. Mostly it's a malaria project. So children admitted, so it enters like patient's data, treatment up to the discharge. So still on that sheet, we realized there was no vitals taken. So the records person came and communicated to me, and we see how we wedged the way forward. So what we did on people to improve on that, on the observation monitoring, we had to put up things like thermometers, which were not there. And we realized, like, we started at 70, but now we're at around 98%. Most of the charts now have vitals, because it's important for children's vitals to be taken and weight. So there was that change. But
so you're using the data to actually change the system?
Change the system, for that. But unfortunately, because some of the implementing partners, sometimes when they come, after some time they go, but then the government has to take up these projects. But now we talk of sustainability, sometimes not sustainable because it needs funds. You need human resource.
And you said both of those projects are funded by the WHO, is that?
No, one is WHO,
okay,
one is IDEA, Infectious Disease Institute. They are
so
one of our
they're
implementing
projects for a specific time, and then once the funding's over, the project will stop.
Sometimes, but the advantage with IDI, they has run for years. Like it can run for 5 years, like this one we are working on now. It is acute febrile illness. It's running for 5 years, but sometimes they renew, sometimes they don't. So I think by 5 years it will help. We have reached somewhere.
Might have systems in place.
Yes, systems will be put in place.
So you've mentioned the challenge of funding, and also people that can do the data collection and things like that. Is there anything else that you'd like to highlight as challenges in your kind of setting, which is rural and you don't have huge access to resources and so on?
On use of mobile health? On use of mobile health, maybe I can talk of owning. Sometimes it's just self-drive. Most people won't own it. So ownership is not easy. But people have their mobile phones, their smartphones. Of course, they use them for other social work. Few maybe use them for communication within, because they say, no, I don't have airtime. I can't use my phone to call doctors because the administration does not give me airtime. So there's that bias. Three, sometimes safety. Now, like that tablet of WHO, we were trained, like about 5 staffs on emergency care. So we're given that tablet, at least which has guidelines, but which were formatted into mobile, which was uploaded to help clinicians at the point of care access. But you find few people try to use it. But maybe because I'm on the front line, in case anything happens in my unit, I'm the first contact. So I use it usually, but others, people are reluctant because people fear that issues of what safety. most of our gadgets at times get lost because once you leave it there, someone has to pick it and take it home for personal use.
Sure. Yeah.
It's issue of safety. And I think people also need now that is implementation, sorry.
Well, no, go into implementation if you want.
Yeah, still working in the rural setting, people need to be trained and also change people's mindset. People still have that thinking that certain things, if you don't train me, I won't do it. You train one person, you don't train another person, things will remain stagnant. So I think it has to be like a continuous training and monitoring and continuous training, monitoring and talking to people on the use of it, the benefits towards client management
and towards
patients management, and also to themselves. They add knowledge to them than, once most healthcare workers don't want to read, and some of them even don't refer, because some of those have as reference. You can have any reference in case of you're stuck in terms of patients management.
I was just curious to understand what is different now compared to when you were not using the mHealth?
Yes. When we are not using mHealth, like you find, because I will talk more on the terms of communication, calling, most things remain stuck because like a patient comes, you've not consulted anyone, or patients need some intervention, maybe to call the specialists you've not called. There were more patients who were dying. So that's why I will talk about now the phones which are introduced by the hospital, these small cell phones, to reduce on the maternal death. And also like at night, usually most problems happen at night. So there's a phone at least to call whoever is responsible at night to improve on the on day-to-day running of the hospital.
So the specialists say that you're working with won't be in your rural area. They might be somewhere else, and you phone them to get advice. I mean, is that the idea?
It's not the idea. You find you have one physician in the whole hospital. So the physician is like from the city, will not sit there from Monday to Sunday, and even at night will not be there. So there'll be too much work on his side, so can be like 2-3 days and goes away. So getting them there, because they are few. We have one obstetrician, one physician, one surgeon.
And they're not there every day.
They are not every day necessary.
This mHealth initiative, is that something that is unique for your clinic or your location, or is it something that is rolled out throughout all of Uganda?
No, I think each hospital has different systems they are using, because these projects, once they come, sometimes some of them target specific hospitals. So I may not know what Masaka is using, or what Fort Portal, the regional referral, is using, or what is being used in Mulago. Some of them already have the electronic system, like maybe for data capturing. For us, we don't have, but I think in few months to come, it's in plan already. We are going to have like an electronic data system within the records, emergency, the specific busy areas for data capturing. So it depends on the funding. So and the priorities by the Minister of Health.
So it's really based a different way of doing things in each area, perhaps, and a lot of it based on project funding.
A lot.
So there isn't a national strategy to implement any kind of E or M health.
No, it is, but sometimes government has a lot of what.
So practically, it's not being.
Yeah, but about the electronic system, that is now is government coming in to fund it, because they've realized the need. Because sometimes this use of stationery is very expensive. You find papers flowing, sometimes
getting lost.
So they are coming up. I think they'll start with few hospitals, then they roll out to other hospitals. And also something else, when these implementing partners come, they usually work with the government. They don't work independent.
Not directly with,
Not independent, they usually work with the government. So it's those days they used to work independent, but these days when a partner comes, have to first go through Ministry of Health, then it's approved to work with the hospital.
So how do you like the format of the roundtable?
The format is good. At least I think I've learned a lot, and it makes someone active, not the old days of like, you know, those seminars, people sit behind and doors, but this one, there's full participation. Everyone is made at least to say something, and I think everything is clear.